Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center. We're glad to have you here on the first Sunday of June, and this is our last double service. So we remind you, come in here next week to be here at 10 o'clock and tell your kinfolk. Please pass that along. 10 o'clock next week. All right, we're going to get started here this morning by getting a little bit centered and sing a little day in the name of. I'd sure love to have you sing along with us. diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind, to the sweetest kind. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment here, to a new beginning here. When I see life so clearly now, so get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the sweetest kind of love, to the deepest kind of love. Get ready, my soul. 'Cause here I go, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer and closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper and deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer and closer, closer to my sacred source. So get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of love. Get ready, my soul. So get ready, my soul.
Thank you. Is your soul ready? Yes. Good. Ooh, I like that. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to everyone here, as well as those joining us online, to Unity Spiritual Center, where our mission is all about transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in our world. My name is Amber McKenzie, and I am the platform assistant today. If you could please take a moment now to silence your cell phones, that would be great. But before you do, please check in online with your people and let them know that you're here and that they can tune in to Unity Spiritual Live online right now. We want to begin our time together by sharing our opening affirmation. I will say it once and then ask you to repeat it with me. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. Together? There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. This is Unity's foundation principle: one presence, one power, one life living through and as each and every one of us. This morning, we will hear from Dr. Jane, who will be sharing her message titled, Widen the Circle. And then we will have Dr. Gary leading us in our meditation. We are being blessed musically this morning by Sean and Tony Wright, as well as Olivia Waldenberg for our special music. So now let's stand to sing our community song.
All right, folks, we're going to sing My Soul is Welcome Here. I'm in the right place at the right time. Not just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. Not just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. Not just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. Not just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, and my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Well, I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 Thank you for singing.
Good morning. My name's Linda Tweedy, and I have the announcements. Number one, volunteers needed for the bookstore and for the information desk. If you want to spend a little time in the bookstore just on Sundays, talk to me. If you're available, even one Sunday a month, it's great. And if you'd like to help with the information desk, see Rebecca. Okay, next week, be sure and come an hour early. Some summer services start at 10 a.m., so for the people out there who are watching online, you're going to have to watch an hour early too. So be sure and tune in at 10. This is the last Sunday for the meditation between services, so I know it's already passed for the 11 o'clockers, but it'll start again in the fall. And now I'm going to invite Mary Ladwick up to tell you about kids.
So I wonder if any of you remember, I mean, you have to have been here a really long time, when there was not the wonderful presence of Jackie Green leading our youth and family department. Is there anybody here that remembers that far back? Long time, huh? Well, but before that, there was a youth director named Margaret Skidmore who decided to step down. And an invitation was announced, just kind of like Linda just did, for a youth director. And I decided that as a mother of young children, this part-time opportunity was just what I could do. And I said yes. But I was an unknown. So a lot of people were there to support me, being pretty sure that I needed it. And it was a good thing. So there have been many wonderful projects. and volunteers over the years, and our center is blessed to have such a healthy commitment to our youngsters. So one fairly recent project is the reinstatement of Kids Week, previously known as Vacation Bible School. For a week, we pack our mornings full of fun and powerful activities. We invite children from all over the community. Somewhere along the line, I said yes again to being camp director. And this past year, or this year, I need to step down from that role. And this is an invitation for someone wanting to say yes, who is available for the 4 mornings of August 5th through the 8th. It's 4 days. You also have a hand in the designing of this year's program. Of course, there are unlimited opportunities for general volunteers as a support team for our new camp director. You will hang out with the kids, join in with the songs, be a presence, assist the conversation, and these volunteers are welcome to do as much or as little as you are able, coming 1 hour or all morning, 1 day, all 4 days, take on a task, or just be a presence. I wouldn't miss out on Kids Week. I want to be there, just not in charge. June 9th, following the service, we will be having an orientation meeting for anyone willing and wanting to be a part of this adventure. Whether you can be at that meeting or not, Jackie needs to know that we can count on you for Kids Week. This week's theme is an adventure in creativity. So, giving written words into speech, I sometimes might lose that passion that I have for enabling our kids to access that really true part of themselves. So if you feel that within you, please want to be a part of it and find time in your schedules to do that. Thank you.
So this is a center update with Dr. Gary, an opportunity for me to share a bit about what happens behind the scenes, things that aren't necessarily apparent via our community announcements. So I want to share something that happened last Sunday. So how many of you weren't here? Almost everybody. So, have you ever been to a place and wondered, why don't they do, or go out someplace and discover something that's not quite right and wonder, wouldn't they be more interested in doing this or that? You know, there's a they or a them. Well, the same thing happens in churches often too. Have you ever thought, well, why don't they have better treats? Or why don't they have better welcoming? Or why don't they? So just so you know, that we're one of the first ministries that are moving out of this phenomenon, where there is no such thing as them or other. It's all about us. So if something doesn't happen, it's because we're not doing it yet. We're not owning something yet. And so here's what happened last week. Last Sunday, there were no treats. Last Sunday, there was no coffee. And I know, my God. And I got to tell you what else happened. No one complained. So the assumption is that if something's not happening, then when in mission-centric ministry, because we're all here in it together, we all own it, then if we think that this should have happened, then it may be us that is being called to own something that is missing or not working as well as it could. So I just want to mention that because in the summertime, we're always stretched, our bandwidth is sort of limited, and especially when folks who are typically here who have integral roles to play in the life of the community are gone, then we have to understand that it's going to have impact on some of the amenities that we would love to have and love to make available, but because it's all of us in it together, and if it doesn't happen, it just means that all of us aren't ready to own something that maybe one person would have liked. And so I know this for sure, and that is anybody who really wants coffee knows how to make coffee. All right, that's what I have. God bless you. Thank you. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. And as we take these words and this melody into our heart, let us presence in our own awareness someone or something that is our evidence for how blessed we are. For the gifts of family and friends and opportunity, possibilities, wonder, summer's day, for all the ways in which life seeks to surround us with beauty, goodness, and grace. Sure, there's everything other than that to notice, but right here and right now, we simply pour our awareness into an experience, a felt connection. So as we open our hearts, as we bring into our awareness someone or something that we appreciate, as we feel that appreciation, and as we allow it to arise and extend beyond ourselves into this room, we can feel our connection one to another, heart to heart. And in this awareness, we can just simply be in our connection, in our awareness of oneness. And we can allow ourselves to abide in the sure and certain knowing that all things are working together for good. That there is a stream, a flow, an activity of spirit that we can step into. And we can be carried into the expression of all that is necessary and good. Indeed, our highest good finds us when we're in the flow. And so it is our heart space that is the portal. And as we allow ourselves to feel that oneness, feel that connection, feel that blessed state, we begin to transcend any physical or psychological limit in this world, and are lifted into an awareness that all things are working together. And so let us know this truth as we spend some moments in the silence. We are so blessed. Breathe in and release. Breathe in and release. And so we release ourselves now into the care and keeping of Spirit, knowing that with God all things are possible. And we give thanks that this possibility brings us into the greater awareness of just how blessed we are. And for this we are grateful. And so it is. Amen.
I am so blessed. Thank you. Aren't we blessed here? It's fabulous music. Thank you so much. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. So I have a bit of a dilemma that I want to talk about today. Is that okay? Yes. So in New Thought, our foundation principle is there's only one life living itself through us, through all of creation, one presence, one power, one life, only one. And if that's true, if that is our foundational belief, how on earth is it possible for us to ever feel separate from one another? Isn't that a good question? How is that possible? How is it possible for someone to walk into their place of business and shoot 12 people just for the heck of it, or who knows why? How is that possible? How is it possible, if we are all one, that those kinds of things are showing up and happening in our world? If we're all integral parts of this one web of life, connected at the source, deeply connected, then where does our sense of isolation and alienation originate? Well, imagine with me that a spell has been cast upon all of humanity. Can you go there this morning? And that spell makes everything and everyone, all of that oneness, actually appear to be separate, disconnected. Can you imagine such a thing? You know, the author Mary O'Malley refers to limiting beliefs as spells. Spells that we cast upon ourselves as children. But all of these spells, all of these limiting beliefs, they all originate, they all stem from the original spell. And it's that sense of separation, a belief in separation. That's where it all begins. Everything starts there. Einstein is quoted as saying it this way: a human being is part of a whole called by us the universe, a part limited in time and space, and he experiences himself and herself, thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of consciousness. And this delusion, he says, is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons near us. And he adds that our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circles of compassion, to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. It's a lengthy quote, but I think he really captures the essence of this dynamic. So separation, if we think of it as an optical delusion, the good news is there's a way to overcome it through compassion. My talk this morning is Widen the Circle. And I would like to take some time to really explore this dynamic a little deeper, looking at the consequences of living under this spell of separation, this optical delusion, as well as considering what the antidote is. Because this sense of separation, it cuts us off. It cuts us off from really living. We're held back from feeling the pure joy of our aliveness. It's not available to us when we're there. The dualistic mind, which most of us have been taught to utilize, to rely on, it's incapable of creating unity. You see, we're wired to divide reality. It's just what our mind does. The egoic mind needs an other in order to exist as a separate identity. And some of the typical behaviors that show up from this delusion of separation range from being fearful, always on alert, needing to protect ourselves, thinking that way. We might think we have to improve our bodies. Anybody? Right? Trying to fix ourselves or change our personalities in order to be accepted. We could spend our time striving for another's approval, searching for that, believing that we don't belong in some way or that we don't measure up to others. These behaviors are all consequences of the disconnect from the awareness of spirit. And it's easy to see where this belief stems from. When we look around, it certainly appears that we're all separate. We all have our own bodies. You can differentiate between your body and the seat you're sitting in. And even though we know from quantum science that what appears to be solid is 99.999% what? Empty space, right? Still, it hurts when we collide with the 0.0001%. Have you noticed this? You ever stepped on a piece of Lego without your shoes on? When that's happened to me in that moment, the Lego and I were not one. Definitely not. So we can certainly bump up against the manifest realm and come face to face with life. And it very much appears that everything in this world is separate. And yet, at the source, we're connected. Everything around us is an expression of an underlying connected web of life, a world of energy. Matter is simply congealed energy, an outer expression of the unified field. Right? Yeah. And it's much like these aspen trees that seem to be separate from each other. But when we look past appearances, we look underground, we find the entire grove is actually connected through its shared root system. And in the same way, you and I are divinely connected at our root system, spirit, one life living through every single one of us. But despite our affirmation that there's only one presence and one power, we still continue to live our lives stuck in separation, having life be against us, feeling separate from each other and from the divine. But what if I told you that the shift I'm talking about is simply a thought away? Would that be good news? Yes. Because the only thing that can keep us separate from God is the belief that we're separate. It's merely a thought that we have decided is true and that we believe. But it's a mistaken belief. And Thich Nhat Hanh suggests that it's our life's purpose to awaken from this illusion that we're separate and to begin living life in the truth of oneness, in interbeingness. And until we do, we will continue to experience life as separate, and because of that, take on different defensive postures, needing to be right, proving my worth, trying to control life, struggling, striving, turning to addictive behaviors to feel okay. Do you know what I mean by any of this? Yes. Good, I'm not the only one then. It's about pushing the river to attempt to make change, struggling through life, still relating to the world from a Newtonian machine-like viewpoint, trying to exert pressure and force to make things happen. And if that doesn't work, we use more force. Try harder. And this all makes sense in a world of separation. But as the Course in Miracles tells us, truth does not fight against illusions, nor do illusions fight against the truth. Illusions battle only with themselves. It's a great reminder of that. So instead of using force, why don't we use the force? See, what if it's only a matter of vibration we're talking about here? Imagine that. What if the appearance of separation is simply a matter of vibratory differences? And imagine if instead of trying to control our life situations, we moved within, connecting with life itself and resonating with its vibratory signature. And what if that opened us up to this creative flow that we can now make change in the outer world? And what is life's vibration? It's divine love. It's kindness, it's empathy, it's compassion, it's peace. It's widening the circle of compassion. And in order to do that, we have to include ourselves in it. Nobody belongs outside of the circle, including you. And that is the answer to breaking the spell of separation. Pure and simple, it all comes back to love, both for oneself and for others. And I'm not talking here about some soppy, emotional sentimentality, or, some weak, anemic, faint-hearted fondness. No. This is power. This is firepower. It's the force. It's able to move mountains brand of power. Nuclear energy without the waste. In fact, let's call it nuclear energy. Although there's nothing new about it. It's as old as time and as new as tomorrow. See? Every single one of us is actually made of this energy. Every one of us. As Julian of Norwich, the 14th century English mystic, writes, we are not only made by God, by God, we are made of God. And when we can shift from made by to made of and start to consciously resonate from that energetic field of love and compassion, we raise our vibration to one of coming into alignment with the oneness of life and awakening from the spell of separation. Isn't that cool? Yes. And the more you raise your vibration to one of divine love, the more welcoming your heart becomes for the presence of God to be awakened. We lure spirit back into our awareness through love's vibration. And we have never actually been disconnected, of course, except in our own mind. I love this quote, although I don't know who said it, somebody who understands. Compassion is to oneness what radiance is to the sun. So in other words, oneness is a glow with the healing vibration of love. They go together. It can't be separated. The same way you can't take the silver out of the spoon. Love is what we're made of, and it is our job to share that love with the world, all of us. It's why we're here. Do you know that about yourself? Yes. Have you heard of Kuan Yin? Kuan Yin, she's known as the Buddhist goddess of kindness, mercy, and compassion, the Chinese bodhisattva. And her name actually means one who hears the cries of the world. And as the legend goes, after having achieved enlightenment and earning the right to enter nirvana, Kuan Yin was right at heaven's gates when she heard someone crying back on earth. And so she stopped, turned around, and vowed to stay in order to help all those who suffer to reach nirvana. And she got a whole bunch more arms out of the deal so she could comfort more people. Well, guess what? Every single one of us can be a bodhisattva. It is archetypal energy that's available to every one of us right now as spiritual beings having a human experience, as inlets and outlets of the divine. And we don't have to be poised and ready to enter heaven's door. We can just do it right here, right now, although, of course, we're always poised and ready to enter heaven's door. But we can just, in this moment, start to be that. We can express the deep compassion that indwells us with those around us, with anyone in need of comfort, whoever that might be. I read a story about a couple of horses that inspired me and warmed my heart. The horse on the left is named Alona, and she is blind. And the horse on the right, named Jack, brings Alona her food every single meal. Jack is Alona's eyes. He never lets her down. He's loyal and devoted. Every meal is an act of love. And I have to tell you that just witnessing this loving act is good for us. Did you know that? Thanks to mirror neurons in the brain, witnessing or hearing about another's altruistic kindness triggers the same physiological changes in our brain as the person doing the kind act. And when we open our hearts, bringing forth a feeling of love and compassion, it stimulates the desire to share it with the world. But compassion, turns out, it's also very good for our health. There's a lot of research on the effects on the body and mind from feeling love and feeling compassion, both for ourselves and for others. The immune system is activated. Compassion can reduce anxiety and depression and shame-based thinking. It deactivates the body's threat system. It activates the body's attachment system, which calms the amygdala. It's been shown to raise emotional intelligence. It helps to deal with stress as it lowers cortisol levels and increases heart rate variability. Thank you. And I want you to all repeat that back to me now. Suffice it to say, there are many physiological, psychological, and emotional benefits to bringing forth compassion. Feeling good is just plain good for us. And it's healing. As Unity's co-founder Charles Fillmore writes, all healing systems recognize joy as a beneficent factor in the restoration of health. And so our internal state matters. It matters to our body, it matters to our mind, it matters to all of us. It's not only good for us individually, it's good for the whole world. Widening our circle of compassion is how we end a sense of separation and isolation and alienation from each other. Kindness begets more kindness, and it's like exercising a muscle. One person's kindness can have a ripple effect, and we just don't even have a clue how one kind act that we participate in can change something. We just don't know. But as each one of us comes into alignment with our true nature of love, we truly can help bring forth a world of peace. As Anne Lamott says, when you're kind to people, you pay attention, you make a field of comfort around them, and you get it back. The golden rule meets the law of karma meets Murphy's Law. I think that's a great way to see it. So I just finished reading a book called The Sun Does Shine. It's a true story about an African-American man named Anthony Ray Hinton from Alabama. He was falsely convicted of a double homicide and sentenced to death. He spent 30 years on death row, an innocent man. And when he arrived there, he was angry. He was bitter. He didn't speak to one single person in that prison, not guards or inmates. He didn't utter a word to them for the first 3 years that he was there. And he completely shut down his heart. And then one day, he heard someone in a cell nearby sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. Now, there was always screaming and yelling and crying out going on death row, but these heart-wrenching sobs, this was the deepest despair he'd ever heard. And he tried to shut out the sound because it was so distressing. And then, suddenly, it abruptly stopped. And that was even more distressing to him. He worried that the man maybe was killing himself or something. And so he finally spoke. After 3 years, he spoke and he called out to him and he asked him if he was all right. And there was a long pause, but finally the man answered and said that he had just received word that his mother had died. And at that moment, Ray experienced the reopening of his heart in compassion. And throughout the book, you see his humanity being reawakened, and it all coming from that moment of caring for another who was suffering. And he was finally released after 30 years, completely exonerated. He should never have been arrested in the first place. And he holds no ill will. He's just filled with gratitude to be outside prison walls. But he found his heart even when he was inside of them. And he did that by lifting his vibration to one of compassion and caring, cultivating what I like to call kindfulness, the new clear energy. He widened his circle. And after reading his story, I thought, if he can do it, my goodness, surely I can as well. When I think of all the sort of petty things that keep me from being connected, wow. And here's why this matters so much. Here's exactly why. This is a computer-generated image that can actually be measured by a magnetometer. And this is the energetic field of the heart, which has been measured up to 15 feet from the body. Now, these fields are real, even though they're invisible. They're like radio waves. And we affect each other with our energy field. I mean, have you ever walked into a room and thought, whoa, something happened in here, you can cut it with a knife, even though you don't even hear a word? We're walking into that energetic field. Same as if you've sang with a group and had harmony in some way. You know how that feels. There's a resonance that gets created, a harmonious resonance. Again, we're creating that energetic field. So whatever we are putting out there is affecting others, you know? And depending on the vibrational signature, think of the effect we're having on those around us. And so our work is to lift ourselves into a vibrational frequency that is in alignment with our true nature. And then to sustain that feeling. Divine frequencies such as kindness and love and gratitude and harmony and peacefulness. And in order to lift our vibration out of a mindset of separation and fear and into connection and joy, where we actually embody our true divine essence, we have to move our focus from here to here. It's an 18-inch journey from head to heart. And it's a very long journey sometimes. And it takes practice. You know, we can't think our way out of separation. We can only feel our way back into connection. And we will talk more about how to do that next week. But for this week, I invite you to take up a practice, that 18, you know, doing that 18-inch journey through a simple process. Are you up for a little bodhisattva training? Yes. Very simple. Imagine breathing into your heart. Think of someone or something that you appreciate, so you actually activate a feeling. You don't want to just think about it. You want to feel it, and then let it expand, let it radiate, let it grow. Spending 5 minutes with this practice can shift everything. We create an energetic signature that is coherent and harmonious, and then we take that out into the world, and we share that with the world. Every single one of us is here to live a heart-centered life, doing our part to bring forth a world that works for all. Are you up for it? Yes. Rock and roll. You guys rock.
Thank you, Dr. Jane. That's an amazing message, per usual. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, for we know that there is one power, one presence, one life. So whoever you are and wherever you are on your journey of transformation, you are welcome here. We would especially like to welcome anyone who is here for the very first time. If this is your first time here and you feel comfortable raising your hands, our ushers have a packet for you. So if you're here, if you could raise your hand and they can get that to you. And you'll notice on the outside of the packet, there's a form that you can fill out to be added to our mailing list for our weekly e-news update and our quarterly newsletter. If you are interested, please fill it in and drop it in the love offering bag as it comes around instead of giving a donation today. Also, after the service, you can take this packet to our barista stand if it's open. We didn't get a schedule for June, so let's see. But maybe bring it next week if you come back. And you can have your choice of a free beverage. And then you can also take it to our bookstore and get a CD of today's wonderful Sunday message. If you have any questions, you can also ask any member of our welcome team or really anyone around you. Most of us have been here before. So please feel free to ask questions. And we just want to know that we are very glad that you are here. So thank you for coming. We would also like to welcome our online viewers. So thank you for joining us this morning. And now it is time to welcome and greet each other with a handshake, a hug, a high five, a wave, a namaste, whatever you're comfortable with. But before we do that, let us stand and begin with our welcome song.
We're going to sing God You Are, the first verse, and let you go give each other a bodhisattva.
you. That was fun. That was fun. Now sit down, people. Enough chit chat. Just kidding. So now is our time to celebrate abundance together as we share our tithes and love offerings. I invite you to hold your offering in your hand as we say together our love offering blessing. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share.
Our special music today is a young lady that has grown up here at Unity since, I think, the beginning, right? It's Olivia Waldenberg, and I've had the pleasure of working with Olivia for many, many years. She drove herself to a piano lesson the other day, and it freaked me out. So. She has an amazing song by Debussy called Gollywog's Cakewalk. And it is a sweet little piece about Debussy's daughter. But in the middle of it, he is making fun of Wagner. And of course, I told Olivia she's never had to deal with drama in her life, so it might be hard for her to relate. But kind of help her out a little bit. You'll probably notice the drama in the middle of the piece, and then it comes back to the very playfulness, which Olivia definitely is. So, my pleasure in announcing Debussy's Gollywog's Cakewalk by lovely Olivia Waldenberg.
That was so fun. Thank you, Olivia. So much talent. So much talent. Okay, let us take a moment now to bless these love offerings. We give thanks for these gifts and for those who have given them as we send them forth to bless our world. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. And as we are giving thanks for the gifts we are receiving at Unity Spiritual Center, we want to take time to thank those in service to our ministry. Today we are saying a special thank you to our board members. So would everyone who is a current board member or past board member please stand up so we can acknowledge you. Thank you so much for your service. And our chaplains today are Julian. Yeah, cool. Julian and Judy. Great. Do you guys want to come up or stay where you are? Or, okay. Look around you. These are Julian and Judy getting together. So, and Julian has been holding the entire service in prayer, which one of our chaplains does every service. So if you have anything that is heavy on your heart or something that you would like to celebrate, you can pray with one of our chaplains and they will hold it in prayer with you. They will be at the front of the sanctuary right up here after service. So thank you both for your service today. Another option is that you can fill out a prayer request form found in the seat pocket in front of you. And then what you'll do is fill that out and then put it in one of our prayer boxes. We have one right here behind me and then also one in the foyer. And then our prayer team here will pray with you for 7 days, and then it will be sent on to Silent Unity, where it will be prayed over for 30 days. And then if you know someone who is in the hospital and has requested a visit from a chaplain, you can also fill out the visitation request form in that seat pocket in front of you and also place that in the prayer box. And someone will get a hold of you to make arrangements for that visit. Okay, and our children are coming, so let's welcome them in.
We are singing for His love is our light. We are singing for His love is our light. We are singing for His love is our light. We are singing for His love is our light. We are singing, oh, we are singing for His love is our light. We are singing, oh, we are singing for His love is our light. We are singing for His love is our light. We are singing for His joy is our light. We are singing for His joy is our light. We are singing for His joy is our light. We are singing, oh, we are singing for His joy is our light. We are singing, oh, we are singing for His joy is our light. Keep going, folks. Yeah. We are singing for His love is our light. We are singing for His love is our light. We are singing for His love is our light. We are singing for His love is our light. We are singing, oh, we are singing for His love is our light. We are singing, oh, we are singing for His love is our light. We are singing for His love is our light.
Is this everybody? They're coming. Okay. There's a few more coming. Oh yeah, there they go. Here they come. Hey, guess what, everybody? It's June 2nd, which means what? Birthday Sunday. And my birthday's in June. I just want to make that announcement since I'm already standing. But if your birthday is in June, please stand up so we can sing to you. Oh, good. Good. Happy birthday, we love you. Happy birthday, and may all your dreams come true. When you blow out the candles, one light stays aglow. birthday, yay. Good job, guys. Okay, and I think the Uniteens have an announcement.
Okay, so as you can see, we finished our, As you can see, we finished our mat. We did that a couple weeks ago, but we'd like to thank the congregation for all of their support and for bringing in bags and for helping us out when we were making it in the other room a couple of weeks ago.
Looks good.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Love it. So we are very grateful for all of our young people here at Unity Spiritual Center, all of you guys, and also those who are in service to our children and youth. So let us take a moment now to bless them all with our children's blessing. Be the love you are. Sing the song you hear. Share your joy of life with people far and near. And for ourselves, be the love we are. Sing the song we hear. Share our joy of life with people far and near. Thanks, everybody. Now calmly walk, my kids, I'm talking to my kids, to your seats. Don't trip anybody. Make sure everybody gets back. Hey, guys. Make sure everybody's back with their people. Okay, well. Okay, so now please stand as you're able and join together for our closing prayer, followed by the peace song. The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And that's the truth.
As we walk through this week, we rejoice in our Bodhisattva training, and so it is.